So I'm not sure whether you heard any of what I said before about props, but if you're able to have a strap handy, that would be great, and a brick or a block would also help. We'll start nice and simple, just in a seated posture, with the legs crossed. We're going to cross at the shins, so the feet are wide and a long way forwards, which feels a bit odd. But the idea is to try and lift and just rotate those thighs around a little bit so they externally rotate. Have a little wriggle, settle the sitting bones, and then lay so to get the pelvis into a nice neutral position so the spine is tall, and just let the hands down on the thighs and we'll relax. Maybe closing the eyes, just taking a moment to settle the breath, thinking about controlling the breath in and out. So the length and duration of the inhale and exhale are similar. And we'll afford ourselves the luxury of a little bit of a neck stretch. So we'll take the right hand up, let the head roll over to the right side, and then just begin to take the weight of the hand into the neck, letting the shoulder relax as well. And we'll release and take that across to the second side. And let ourselves release from there as well. We'll take some little half neck circles, so we'll drop the chin towards the chest. Inhale the chin over to the left, back down into the center, and over to the right. Just flow gently through from side to side, following your own breath. And then coming back into the center. We'll take that into some little twists. So taking ourselves around to the left, trying to look over the rear shoulder. Be careful not to drop the head down, lifted. Let the shoulders ease down. Working on drawing the belly in, keeping the pelvis in neutral, so you tend to have to push the hips forwards a little bit. And then we'll release. And then take it slowly over to the second side. And come back into the center. We're taking into some side bends. So we'll walk the fingers out to the left palm on the ground. Try and keep the right hip bone down on the floor. Keep the chest open as you take your right arm up. And then we're just going to simply lay that hand out to the side. It more or less follows the line of the body. And then we'll see if we can bend the elbow a little bit to give us a little bit more stretch down the side. Trying to relax the knees down. And we'll lift back up and take it over to the final side. So just finding really if there's any particular sticky points, making a note to take it easy through those parts of the body for the rest of the class if we need to. And then lifting back up. We'll come on to our spine, and if you have a strap handy, that'll be useful to have. And I'm going to use the block behind as well. Just going to roll down very gently onto the spine. Block under the head. I'm just going to bring the knees in towards the body and make some circles. So hands on top of knees. And we'll take those in the opposite direction. And then we'll let the feet come down to the floor close to the bottom. Take the arms out wide. We'll take a simple spinal twist to the right. So just letting the knees come down. You can use the right hand on top of that left thigh if you want to draw the knee a little further down. Taking the head the opposite directions. Focusing on keeping the shoulders on the ground. And then lifting ourselves back up. And rocking across to the other side. And back to the center. We'll draw the right knee in towards the chest. And then from the left leg out. Turn the thigh inwards a little bit. I'm going to flex both feet. So toes come towards knees. We're lengthening out the heel on the long leg. Hopefully that's down the center line, following the line of the body. And then we'll release, just draw the leg in. We'll cross over to the second side. Lengthen the leg out. Flexing both feet. Turning the thigh in a little. And we'll release. Bring both feet back in towards the body. And if you have the strap, we're going to take it around the left foot to start with. Bind the strap around the hands. Lengthen the leg out. So you still want to have a little bit of a bend in the leg. If you haven't got a strap, then hands around the back of the hamstring and press the foot all the way to the sky, flexed. But if you're able to use a strap, you have a little bend in the knee. Make sure that the foot is square to the body, it's not rolling out to the side. Now press the ceiling away. Use the shoulders to draw down, which is why you need to have the strap around the fists. And then we'll lengthen out through the opposite leg. So right leg lengthens out, just as we had before, a little internal rotation. So obviously the press and the pull are going to be equal to each other. We're trying to maintain that little bend in the knee so we can press out fiercely. That's a good word. And then we'll release. You'll notice the difference as you take that option to release the leg. Really feel the muscles kind of moving around in the tissues department. So again, we'll set up the opposite leg and then start to press out. Strong shoulders, nice strong grip. And then we'll lengthen the opposite leg out. So still trying to keep the foot more or less over the hip, just that we happen to have a bent knee version here. You can have a big bend or a little bend, but as long as it gives you space to press fiercely without pressing the knee back. And we'll release from there as well. Bring both feet back in. Just move our strap over to the side. We'll take a little breath. Bring the knees back in. We'll take the knees wide, toes together, and then run your hands down the inside of your shins. Take your hands around the outside edge, little toe. We'll come into happy baby, just drawing one leg at a time. So we're trying to draw the shoulders down, trying to draw the tailbone down, drawing the belly into the spine, and also drawing the knees towards the floor. It's easy to get focused just on the knees and the hips, but try and think about the rest of the body as well, keeping the neck in line with the body, chin in towards the chest a little bit. You can rock a little bit on the spine from side to side if that feels nice. Some people like to be steady, some people like to move around a little bit. And we'll let the feet come back down to the floor smoothly and easily. We'll take the feet wide, knees stay high, arms come out. So using the whole of the mat, and we'll just scissor the legs over towards the left. So the feet just slide onto their sides, more or less in the same position. Try and let the bottom leg sink all the way to the ground. Shoulders stay on the floor. And we'll lift and take that to the opposite side. And then we'll bring ourselves over to the right side fully. Use the hands to press into the floor to lift up. Take a little breath as we sit up. We're going to cross the ankles. We're going to roll onto the shins and ready for all fours. Starting to draw the chest forwards. And cat-cow. Exhaling a little rounding of the spine. Inhaling forwards. And exhaling. We'll come back into neutral. Slide the toes of the right foot to the back of the mat. Just lengthening the leg out, and then we'll draw the belly in as we lift the foot off the ground. Take a bend to the knee. Also keep the knee high, the sole of the foot to the sky. Press the remaining shin down into the floor as you take your hand out in front on the opposite side. And we're just going to take that into a twist. So we're going to look at the fingertips, swoop it around, start to open the chest. So there's a little bit of a lift. Find the foot. And once we've connected, we keep the body open to the side of the mat. Press the shin back so you start to feel the shoulder opening a little bit as well. Obviously, you're trying to do this whilst keeping your balance. And then we'll release. And bring everything back down to the floor. Take a breath in the middle. Compose ourselves. Tuck the toes on the opposite foot underneath. Lift the leg away as we exhale, belly in. Bend in the knee. Sole of the foot to the sky. When you're ready, take the opposite hand out. Looking towards the fingers, you open the chest again. Find your foot. And then press out. And then we'll release. Bring everything back down. Just going to bring the knees forwards again. Let ourselves sit back down onto our spine. So using the hands. And we'll draw the knees in towards the body. Knees are together. And extend the legs up towards the sky, pointing the toes. Taking the hands up towards the ceiling. So we're just going to alternate the legs and the arms. Going to try really hard to keep these quads engaged on the front of the thighs. So the legs are long and the lower back touching the ground. Then take a breath in. And then it's right arm and left leg. Lengthening out. Inhaling up. And crossing over. So the degree of concentration is quite high. And moving slowly, so you're not really using momentum. That allows you to keep your spine nice and flat and safe. Just another 30 seconds or so. Last side. And knees back in, feet to the floor. And we'll take the right leg to the sky, turn the toes out, bend the knees. So we're coming into a figure four. We're going to draw the left knee in towards the body, so both feet are flexed. And we're going to press one leg against the other. So the hands are just going to stay out to the side. Spine is flat to the floor. Try and press your right knee away and draw your left knee in. There should be a little bit of shaking and wobbling going on. Remember, keep both feet flexed. And then release. And we've still got the other side to do. So take the leg up high, give a little shake out through the ankle, take the opposite leg up, turn the toes out, bend the knee, ankle to the outside of the thigh, flex the foot, and then draw the opposite knee in, flex both feet, take a breath, and on the exhale, draw the belly in, start to work the legs together. Okay. Oh, I'd turn that off. Take a little breath there. Bring your feet to the floor. Take a breath. Got to start turning the phone off. Obviously, when you reset your phone because your O2 goes off, the mute button stops working. Oh, anyway, sitting up nice and tall, crossing the legs over, come back onto hands and knees. And we're going to take that cat-cow again. Just going to draw the chest forward, roll the spine out. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale forward. And then same thing again, but just this time we're going to sit back down into child's pose. So pressing into the floor a little bit, letting the head and your elbows come to the ground. And then on the inhale, we'll lift up. Draw the chest forward. Allow ourselves to gently move through to the opposite end of the mat. Inhale to the front. And slowly back. We'll take 1 more of those. And then as we sit back, we just draw the hands towards the legs, so sitting up tall. And you want to make sure your knees are relatively close together and you're sitting on the heels. We'll take the hands out to the side, up to the sky, interlace the fingers, index finger lifts up, which is going to get a little bit more length through the armpits, draw the belly in, and then hinge gently down to the ground. So trying to keep the hands in line with the body and hips as close to the buttocks and heels connected. Just draw the hands back in. Take the breath in all the way to the sky. And we'll come down again. So just 5 of these. Really wrapping the abdominal muscles in on the exhale as we come down. We'll take 1 last. now as we come down, we'll just separate the hands, lift up onto all fours, tuck the toes underneath and sit back into that down dog. So we're going to walk the dog out a little bit. See how that feels in the back of the legs and the calves. Get the hips a little bit of mobility as well. Check that the hands are nice and flat to the floor, no gaps. And we'll take a scissor dog here. So we'll take the right leg high, come up onto the tiptoes, straight leg points up towards the sky. The hips open out a little to the side. We'll ease the foot down to the floor. Take it across the other side. Easing the foot down to the ground. We'll just allow ourselves to walk the feet into the front of the mat. So up on the tippy toes, small steps, feet about hip distance apart. And then waddling the last little bit. Feet are parallel, hands onto the shins. We'll lift up halfway, lift the body out. At the back of the legs open again. We're just careful where the weight is positioned over the feet. Try to keep it even. Soften the knees as you fold down. And the shins to lift up. Fold it over. One more time. And this time we'll bring the hands onto the hips. Soft knees and a flat back to lift. Inhale, hands above the head, into the heart. Take a little turn out to the right. Take the feet into a big step, as big as we can. Take the hands out nice and wide. Make a little star. And turn the toes towards the front of the mat. Take a little breath. Let ourselves sit down into warrior two. So you want to make sure your front knee is over your ankle, but not forwards. And we're keeping the hips nice and stable here. So if you're leaning forwards a little bit, it's usually because this front hip is down. You want to try and draw it back in, keep the spine nice and long. Now we're going to lengthen forward. So we are going to drop into that front hip and extend out. Keep the front knee carefully where it is. Approximately a line between the foot, hip, and the head. Bring your forearm down on the front thigh and extend the top arm up and over. So that arm is close to the ear. Palm faces forward, back foot presses down. We'll let ourselves lift up. We'll take that to reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg a little. Sink into the front knee again, to warrior two. Bring the hands overhead. Rotate down towards the floor. Frame the front foot. Spin the heel on the back. Push off the toes into that forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips and you lift up. Take it to the second side. Inhale. Hands into the heart. Little step out to the left. Nice big step. Let the arms float into star. Slow turn. Just checking the front foot is pointing center line of the mat. Sink into the front knee. Check the hips. Chest square to the side of the mat. Hips are diagonal. And then we'll extend out. Hypothetical line down the body. And take the top arm up and over. There's quite a lot of lift in the body and space to rotate the chest round and up towards the sky. We'll lift back into warrior two. Turn the palm, reverse warrior. Slowly straighten the front leg. Run the back hand down the back thigh. Sink back into warrior two. Hands above the head, rotate. Ease the hands down. Once you've landed, spin the back foot. Step forwards. Hands onto the hips, and you can lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. And turn to the right. Take the legs out wide again. Into our star. Turn the toes. Sink into warrior two. Take a little breath. Extend forwards. Forearm onto the thigh. Take the hand up and over. Now from here, we're going to let the hands come down to the floor. So we can turn the body, frame the front foot. Bend the back foot out a little bit further. Let the back knee down. Bring the hands onto the inside of the front foot. Spin the front foot out a little bit, 45 degrees. Let the knee hang out. Untuck the toes on the back foot. Bring your hand onto your thigh and open up into that little bit of a twist. Now bring the hands to the floor, turn the foot back towards the front of the mat. Frame the foot, tuck the toes on the back, take a little breath, push off the toes, forward fold, hands onto the hips and lift up. Inhale high, and we'll repeat to the second side. So hands come into the heart. We'll take a big step out, open up into star. Turn the toes into our warrior two. Extend out for the side angle. And then slowly rotate that body down towards the floor, framing the front foot. Allow yourself to spin and take that back foot a little bit further back as you lower the knee. Bring the hands on the inside, spin the front foot out 45. So you untuck the toes on the back foot, let the knee hang out to the side, and let yourself open up into the twist. So looking over that back shoulder, rolling onto the side of the front foot. It's a little bit flexed. One last breath. And turn the front foot back in. Hands either side, tuck the toe on the back. Just lift up into the lunge, push off the toes into the forward fold. Hands come onto the hips and we lift up. So we're going to do something very similar. We're just going to put a little bit of a hamstring plus into this. So we'll bring the hands through the heart, turn out to our right, come into star, take a little breath, turn the toes, warrior two, extend forwards as we exhale. Inhale that hand up and out to the front of the mat. Open the chest. Turn the chest down to the floor. Fingers come to the ground. Back foot slides out a little further. Hands come on the inside as we untuck the toes. We spin the front foot out. Knee goes out to the side. Now this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to take that left hand up towards the sky. Arc it over. Bend back knee. Find the foot. and draw the heel in towards the buttock. As you do, you just let that left knee hang out to the side as you bring your right heel in, looking over the rear shoulder. So you should feel that in your thigh on the rear leg, but you might feel it in the hamstring as well if you haven't stretched it out for a while. And then we're going to release everything back down to the floor, spin the front foot, so hands frame up on the tippy toes, coming forwards into that forward fold. We take a breath, hands onto the hips, and we lift. Inhale high, hands into the heart, we turn out to the left. Open up into stars, turn the toes. Warrior two, extend forwards, take the arm up and over, chest opening. And then turning the chest gently down to the floor. Remember to take the back foot as far away as you can. Hands come on the inside, foot turns out to the side a little bit, starts to hang out. Right arm comes up, rear knee bends. Find the foot, heel into the buttock, let the chest open. You can start to bend the elbow a little bit as you bring the heel closer in. So this is the one that we specifically put the microphones on mute, so I can't hear the students groaning. Last breath. Release everything down to the floor. Spin the front foot as you bring the hands down. Up on the fingertips from the lunge, take a little breath and press forwards. Hands onto the hips, and we lift up. Inhale high, bring the hands into the heart. This time we're going to change a little bit, so we're going to bend the knees and sit back into a chair pose. We're going to take the hands out in front, keeping the belly drawn in. So trying to keep the knees the same distance apart as the feet, which might sound a bit weird, but if they bow out, you'll know what I mean. Bring the hands back in towards the heart. The legs open out, the chest comes forwards, and then we fold down. And slide the right foot to the back of the mat and let that knee come down to the floor. One side the toes. Bring hands back towards you as you lift up. Draw the belly in, take the hands high. On the exhale of your breath, both hands on the inside of the front leg. Tuck the toes on the back foot. Press out through the heel. Drop the heel into the center line as if you're going to take the warrior two foot. And then we're going to take the right hand towards the hip. Open the chest to the right side. And then extend that right hand up. So it's the extended side angle, but it's the floor version. I'm going to try and keep that front knee over the ankle so you can have a little look-see. And I'm going to press down through the front shin. Lift ourselves back up into warrior two, which feels like a rather long journey. Hands come above the head. Now we're going to spin the chest and the hips towards the front mat. So the heel lifts up from the floor into a high crescent. And then we'll extend out forwards. Bring the hands down to the ground and step it into the forward fold. And we'll take it onto the second side. So inhale up. Hands into the heart. check your feet are parallel, hip distance apart as you soften your knees. Allow yourself to sit back deeper, taking the hands out. There's a few breaths here. Hands to the heart, extend forwards and down. Take a little breath. Left foot back, knee to the floor. Untuck the toes, bring the hands back towards you to lift the body. Belly drawn in. Get plenty of space in the spine. Lift it up out of the pelvis. There's a lot of feeling of lift across the front of the belly. One more breath. On the exhale, the hands come onto the inside of the foot. Back foot, knee lifts, heel drops in. Allow ourselves to bring that hand onto the hip, turn the chest. Open up the hand to the sky. Little check on the front knee over ankle position. Opening the chest as well as you can to the side mat. It's not an easy thing to do. Try and keep the breath calm. One more breath here. Now press down through the front shin. So lift up into our warrior two. Inhale the hands high. You rotate the body into that high crescent. It's a slow move because it's actually quite complicated from a balance point of view. Extend forwards. Hands to the ground. Take a little breath. Into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips as we breathe in, lift up. Hands into the heart. Now I'm going to step back into that in the middle of my mat, mostly so I can pick up my block, which is back here, and then just allow myself to bring it forwards. I'm just going to make sure I'm going to miss my lampshade. Otherwise that casts shadows everywhere. And to stand up onto the corner edges of the block and then turn the feet out. So you could use a rolled up blanket as long as it's stable, or even a big thick book. Bring the hands in towards the heart. I'm going to soften the knees slowly. Just try and keep the spine as upright as we can. Imagine we're sliding down a wall. Come down. Oh, a little bit tricky. And then we'll bring the palms together. Make a nice right angle through the hands into prayer so we can use the elbows to draw the legs out a little bit and open the chest. So just getting the hips and the knees and the ankles used to the idea of being here. And probably what's not visible, unless you're really close to a person, is the fact that when you're sitting in this pose, you are still actually moving around a little bit. There's still that little wander from side to side. The weight is transferring through the body continuously, just very fractionally, but it is happening. And then we're going to get a whole lot more excited. Then take the arms out wide, palms up. Start to lift ourselves up as we inhale. Bring the hands above the head. Hands in towards the heart, and we're going to squat all the way back down again, nice and slow on the exhale. Take the hands out wide. Inhale up. Hands into the heart. And then lift. Come back down. Just a few more. Keeping it slow. Last one. We'll lift up and let the heels come off of the block as we bring hands into the heart. And I'm just going to move that to the side. Now I'm going to move down the long end ways of the mat, just because I want the feet to be nice and wide. So I'd suggest you do the same. You'll turn the heels in, toes out, and we're going to squat down. Now, ideally, you want to have your bottom about the same level as your knees are off the floor, as close as you can get to that. And you can have a little wriggle around to find a comfortable space. And then we're going to take the whole of the body weight, take the arms out. You take a little breath here, and we're going to just take a very simple twist. So I'm going to take my left hand over to my right foot, folding down, taking the top arm up towards the sky. I'll come back up and cross over. I'm trying to keep the legs in the same position. Just moving across and down, enjoying the twist. Rotating through. Last one. Hands come back down. Legs just about managing to straighten and zigzag back in. And then we'll come up to the front of the mat. Sweep the arms up to the sky. Hands into the heart. Exhale down. So through that forward fold. And just bringing the hands in line with the toes. Stepping it back into a down dog as a transition. So letting the knees come to the floor. And we'll swing the feet out to the side. Let ourselves sit gently back. We use the block underneath the sitting bones. Sitting up nice and tall. I'm going to take my left foot underneath, out to the right, so the knees pointing forwards. Right leg comes in, and I'm going to draw my left arm around and draw the knee in towards the body. And then rotate the body towards the back of the mat. Using strength in that front arm and shoulder drawn back to get a little bit more stretch down this TFL. And we'll release. Take it over to the second side. And then when you set up, you hook, draw in, rotate back. And then we can release. And let's bring the legs back out again. Give them a little shake, and we'll bring both feet in towards the body as close as we can, so the soles of the feet come in when the knees are out wide. And these front hip bones can sort of tend to sort of roll out, so they sort of hunch a little bit. So you want to bring the front hip bones, the ones that sit over the top of the waist, forwards a little bit, and then lift the spine up so you get plenty of lift through an upright spine, just holding onto the ankles of the feet. Or you can hook big toes and try and keep the chest nice and open. And then see if you can take the feet apart like you're opening a book by just pressing the knees down towards the floor a little bit more. And whilst you do that, be conscious that the hips don't roll out behind you. So keep the belly drawn in. And noticing whether it feels easier on one leg or the other to draw it down towards the floor. Sometimes it's just a sort of connection issue rather than tightness. So as you look down, little toes together, big toe joints starting to pull apart. Always feels like my legs are almost touching the ground, and then I look and go, okay, still quite a long way to go. And then we'll release. So just stretch the legs out gently and give them a little bit of a shake. And then we'll bring the heel in towards the groin. So we're not crossing the ankles, we're just bringing the heels in so the knees are out, shins are on the floor, fingertips in front. Again, we're going to lift those hips up, fold them over the thighs and down and see how low we can get. Maybe you can bring the head to the floor. Maybe you're going to be on the elbows, maybe you'll be a lot higher. Draw the belly in a little bit, send the tailbone away. Try and relax the shoulders. And then we'll just drop the belly in, use the hands to press into the ground to lift. Swap the legs over. Fingers in front, again, get plenty of lift. Fold over. Usually it doesn't feel quite so natural on the second side. So you might not come down quite so low. Keep the belly in, sending the tailbone back. Whatever position you're in, try and keep the head in line with the rest of the body. And press into the floor to lift back up. Final time. We'll make inroads to a Shavasana position. We'll just take one spinal twist left. I'm going to use a brick in between the thighs on the thinnest setting and head on the block and just have the feet away from the floor so the knees are a little closer into the body. And then I'm going to let myself rock down to the right side. And then slowly lift up, keeping the brick in between the thighs. These are a little closer, as we said. Rolling down to the second side gently, keeping the shoulders on the ground. And bring the knees up for the final time. Move the block out of the way. Feet out to the corner edges of the mat. Nice and slow. A little wriggle. Let the legs hang out. Palms out to the side, facing up to the sky. Licking the lips. We'll slowly start to stretch those fingers and toes. Wriggling out the fingers, ankles, wrists, toes. Taking a couple of breaths in, using a big stretch. Wake the body up a little more, and then let the knees come in towards the body. Find a little hug. A gentle rock from side to side, and then rolling completely onto the right side of your body. Using the hands to press into the floor to lift slowly back up. And when you're ready, sitting up tall, bringing the hands in towards your heart. Taking a nice deep breath in. As you slowly exhale, let the chin drop. Let the belly draw in, and the body carefully bows down to the floor, sealing your practice for the morning. Let the breath come back in to build the spine and lift the head. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.